Stop scrolling. Yes, you. Before you skip this video, listen carefully. You didn't click on this by mistake. You didn't find this randomly. And no, this is not just another motivational video. Something brought you here at this exact moment, at this exact second. And deep down, you already feel it. Because if this video appeared in front of you, it means this message was meant for you. Not everyone will see this. Not everyone will understand this. But you are here. And before this video ends, you'll understand why. So don't skip, don't rush, stay till the end. Because this message may answer a question you've been silently asking for a long time. Have you ever noticed something strange? Sometimes, when you're confused, when you're tired, when you're quietly asking for a sign, something unexpected shows up, a message, a video, a sentence, a moment, and suddenly it feels like it was made just for you. This is one of those moments. Right now, millions of videos exist on the internet, but out of all of them, this one found you, not because of luck, not because of chance, but because timing matters. And timing is never random. Let me ask you something. Have you been feeling stuck lately? Lost? Uncertain about your future? Have you been trying to stay strong, but inside you feel tired? Maybe you've been praying silently. Maybe you stopped praying. Maybe you don't even know what you believe anymore, but you've been asking one question. Why is this happening to me? Hold that thought, because this message begins right there. Nothing truly meaningful ever happens by accident, even when it looks ordinary on the surface. Especially when it looks ordinary. Most of the biggest turning points in life don't arrive with noise or warning. They arrive quietly, almost invisibly slipping into a moment when you're distracted, tired, or unsure. And that's exactly how this moment found you. You might think you clicked this video out of curiosity, boredom, or habit, but if you're honest with yourself, something else pulled you here, something deeper, something you haven't been able to explain, but you've felt it for a while now. That subtle feeling that something is about to change or that something needs to change even if you don't yet know what it is. You see, timing is never random. The world loves to tell us everything is coincidence, that algorithms decide what we see, that chance rules our days. But life doesn't move that way, not really. Think about it. How many times have you searched for answers without words? How many nights have you stared at the ceiling, replaying moments, mistakes, fears, and quiet hopes you don't share with anyone? How many times have you asked for clarity, not out loud, but inside, where no one else could hear you? Those moments matter. They stack up, and eventually they create a point where something has to respond. That's where you are now. This message didn't arrive when your life was calm and predictable. It arrived when you needed it. Maybe you're feeling restless, even when everything looks fine from the outside. Maybe you've been carrying a weight you don't know how to put down. Maybe you've been strong for so long that you forgot what it feels like to be supported. People around you might think you're okay. You might even tell yourself you're okay, but something inside you knows that you've been walking with unanswered questions, and unanswered questions always look for a place to land. What most people don't understand is that guidance rarely comes in the form we expect. We imagine signs as dramatic moments, loud miracles, or sudden clarity. But real guidance is quieter than that. It slips into your awareness when your defenses are low. It meets you when you're not trying so hard to control everything. It finds you when you're scrolling, when you're pausing, when you're just existing. And when it does, it doesn't shout, it whispers. The problem is not that guidance isn't given. The problem is that most people are too busy to listen. If you're still here, still listening, that already says something about you. It means some part of you is open. It means some part of you is paying attention. And that matters more than you realize. Because before change happens in the outside world, it always begins internally. It begins with awareness, with a moment where you stop running on autopilot and actually notice how you feel, not how you pretend to feel, not how you're expected to feel, but how you truly feel. Maybe lately you felt like you're in between chapters, not where you used to be, but not yet where you want to go. That space can feel uncomfortable. It can feel lonely. It can feel like nothing is moving, even though everything is quietly rearranging itself beneath the surface. Seeds grow in the dark. Preparation happens in silence. And just because you can't see progress doesn't mean progress isn't happening. This is where many people give up. They assume that if they can't see results, nothing is working. They assume silence means abandonment, but silence often means instruction. It means something is being formed inside you before it can be revealed outside of you. Think about how many times you've wanted an answer immediately, only to realize later that if it had come earlier, you wouldn't have been ready to receive it. Timing protects you from what you're not prepared to carry yet. You may have felt delayed, overlooked, passed by. You may have watched others move ahead while you stayed in the same place, wondering what you were doing wrong. But not every path moves at the same speed, and not every journey is meant to be compared. Some paths take longer because they're leading somewhere deeper. Some journeys are slower because they're changing you, not just your circumstances. And here's something important you need to hear right now. What you are experiencing is not proof that something is wrong with you. It's proof that something is happening within you. Growth feels confusing before it feels empowering. Transformation feels uncomfortable before it feels freeing. And awareness often arrives before understanding. You didn't arrive at this moment because you have everything figured out. You arrived because you're willing, even if quietly, even if uncertainly, to look inward. That willingness is powerful. It's the beginning of alignment. When you start paying attention to moments like this, life starts responding differently. Not instantly, not dramatically, but subtly, consistently in ways that build over time. Most people miss these moments because they're looking for something else. They're looking for confirmation that fits their expectations. But truth doesn't always arrive dressed the way we imagine. Sometimes it arrives as a pause. Sometimes as discomfort. Sometimes as a message that feels strangely personal, even though it was never meant to target anyone specifically. That's how you know it matters. When something speaks to you without knowing you, it's because it's touching something universal within you. If you've been feeling like something needs to shift, that feeling didn't come from nowhere. If you've been questioning your direction, your purpose, or your next step, those questions didn't appear randomly. They appeared because you're ready to ask them. And asking is the first act of change. Even when you don't yet have the answers, asking opens the door. This moment is not here to pressure you or scare you. It's here to remind you that you're not disconnected, even when you feel alone, that your awareness is part of something larger, that your thoughts, your questions, your quiet hopes are seen, even when they feel invisible. You don't need to understand everything right now. You don't need to make a big decision this second. You don't need to suddenly become someone new. All you need to do is recognize that this moment matters, that your attention matters, that the fact you're still listening means something inside you is responding. And that response is important. Because every meaningful shift in life begins with a moment just like this. A moment where you stop and listen. A moment where you allow yourself to feel instead of distract. A moment where you admit, even silently, that you're ready for clarity, ready for guidance, ready for something more aligned than what you've been settling for. This is not the end of anything. It's the beginning of awareness. And awareness changes everything. Stay with this feeling. Don't rush away from it. Don't explain it away. Let it sit with you. Let it speak to you in its own time. Because this message didn't come to you by accident. It came because you were ready to hear it, even if you didn't know that until now. At some point in life, everyone reaches a moment where the noise outside gets quieter and the questions inside get louder. That moment doesn't arrive when everything is falling apart in obvious ways. It arrives when things look normal but feel wrong. When you're doing what you're supposed to do, yet something inside you keeps whispering that this isn't the whole story. That whisper is not weakness, it's awareness. And awareness is where real change begins. You may have been trying to ignore that inner voice. You may have kept yourself busy so you wouldn't have to hear it. You may have convinced yourself that time will fix everything, that things will eventually make sense on their own. But time alone doesn't create clarity. Attention does. And right now, your attention is here for a reason. There is something in your life that no longer fits the person you are becoming. You've felt it. You've sensed it in moments of silence. It might be a habit you've outgrown, a pattern you keep repeating, a relationship that drains more than it gives, or a version of yourself that you've been clinging to because it feels familiar, even though it no longer feels true. Letting go of what's familiar is hard, not because it's good for us, but because it's known. And the unknown always feels risky, but growth has never lived in comfort. Growth lives in the space where honesty meets courage. And honesty begins when you stop pretending that everything is fine if it isn't. You don't need to announce it to the world. You don't need to explain it to anyone else. But you do need to acknowledge it within yourself. The discomfort you've been feeling is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It's a sign that something is trying to change. When something inside you starts pushing back against the life you're living, it's because you're no longer aligned with it. And misalignment always creates tension before it creates transformation. Many people misunderstand this phase. They think discomfort means they've failed, that they've taken a wrong turn, that they've lost their way. But often, it means the opposite. It means you're waking up. It means you're no longer numb. It means you're starting to see clearly enough to realize that staying the same would cost you more than changing ever could. There is a quiet strength in you that you may not recognize yet. It's been built through everything you've survived, everything you've endured, and everything you've had to figure out on your own. Even the moments you thought broke you added something to you. Even the confusion shaped your awareness. Nothing you've been through was wasted. You might be waiting for certainty before you move forward, waiting to feel fearless, confident, or completely ready. But readiness is a myth. No one ever feels fully prepared for change. They feel called. And calling doesn't remove fear. It gives fear a direction. You don't need to see the entire path ahead. You only need to be willing to take the next honest step. That step might be small. It might be internal. It might simply be the decision to stop lying to yourself about what you need. Small decisions made with honesty create momentum, and momentum creates clarity. There is also something else you need to understand. You are not being asked to become someone else. You are being asked to return to who you already are beneath the expectations, the fears, and the roles you've learned to play. Somewhere along the way, you learn to quiet parts of yourself to fit in, to survive, or to be accepted. Those parts didn't disappear. They've been waiting. This moment is an invitation to listen again. You may have been asking for a sign, thinking it would come as a solution, an answer, or a sudden change in circumstances. But sometimes the sign is not an answer. Sometimes the sign is a reminder of your own inner knowing, that feeling you can't explain, that sense that there's more for you than what you've been settling for. That awareness that you're meant to live with intention, not just routine. Fear will try to convince you to stay where you are. It will tell you that change is too risky, that you'll lose what you have, that you'll disappoint someone, that you're not strong enough to start again. Fear always speaks in familiar ways. But fear has never been a reliable guide. It speaks to protect comfort, not truth. Truth feels different. Truth feels calm even when it's challenging. Truth doesn't rush you, but it doesn't leave you alone either. It stays, it returns, it gently insists. If you've been feeling a quiet pull towards something more aligned, more meaningful, more honest, that pull is not accidental. It's guidance. You don't have to figure everything out tonight. You don't have to make a dramatic move tomorrow. But you do have to stop ignoring what you already know. Awareness without action eventually turns into regret. But awareness with patience turns into wisdom. There is a version of you on the other side of this moment that understands why things unfolded the way they did. A version of you that looks back and realizes that what felt like confusion was actually redirection. That what felt like delay was preparation. That what felt like loss was space being made for something better aligned. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not failing. You are becoming. And becoming is not loud. It's subtle. It happens in moments like this, where you pause long enough to listen, where you allow yourself to feel instead of escape, where you choose awareness over distraction. If this message resonates, it's because something in you is responding. That response is worth honoring. You don't need to label it. You don't need to fully understand it. You just need to respect it enough to not dismiss it. After this moment passes, life will continue. Responsibilities will return. Noise will come back. Distractions will compete for your attention. But something will be different. You'll remember this pause. You'll remember how it felt to listen. And that memory will quietly influence your choices, even if you don't notice it right away. This is how change begins. Not with pressure, not with fear, but with awareness, honesty, and the willingness to trust that you are being guided. Even when the path isn't fully visible yet, you are not alone in this process. You never were. And you don't need to rush it. Just stay open, stay honest, and let this moment do what it came here to do. Because this message wasn't meant to control you, scare you, or convince you of anything. It was meant to remind you of something you already carry within you. And that reminder can change everything. As this message comes to an end, take a moment to breathe and simply notice where you are right now. Not physically, but internally notice what shifted, even slightly. Sometimes the most powerful changes don't arrive as sudden realizations, but as quiet clarity, a sense of calm, a feeling of being seen. If you felt that, then this moment did what it was meant to do. You didn't need this message to give you answers. You needed it to remind you that you already carry wisdom within you. That you are not disconnected, lost, or forgotten. That the questions you've been holding are valid and the timing of your life is not wrong. Everything you've been through has been shaping you, even the moments that felt confusing or unfair, especially those moments. Understand this clearly now. You are not required to have everything figured out. You are only asked to stay honest with yourself, to listen when something inside you nudges you toward growth. To trust that clarity unfolds step by step, not all at once. Life doesn't reveal the entire path ahead because it wants you to walk it with awareness, not certainty. What you choose to do after this video matters more than anything said here. You can return to old patterns, old distractions, and familiar noise. Or you can carry this awareness with you. You can move a little more intentionally, speak a little more honestly, let go of something that no longer serves you. Even the smallest shift, when made consciously, can change the direction of your life over time. Remember, guidance doesn't force, it invites. And this message was an invitation to pause, to listen, to trust that you are being guided in ways you may not always recognize immediately. Nothing about your life is meaningless. Nothing about this moment was random. If you felt comfort here, let that comfort remind you that you are supported. If you felt challenged, let that challenge move you toward growth, not fear. And if you felt uncertain, let that uncertainty be a doorway rather than a wall. Carry this with you as you move forward. You are allowed to grow at your own pace. You are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to become more than who you used to be. And you are allowed to trust that the path unfolding in front of you is leading somewhere meaningful, even if you can't see it yet. Thank yourself for staying present, for listening, for being open. And don't forget this one truth as you go on with your day and your life. Nothing about this was an accident.